so dope.
Hello, everybody. Nobody's here because I just scheduled the stream and went live. I just walked in the door. So if you're watching this after the fact, sorry I was late. If you were here at 4:30, I apologize for that. But here's the thing. I'm streaming at 7:30 as well with Cowboy Criminology. So I'm going to do a very quick Crimeland just because I promised you guys at 4:30 on Sundays I will hit the live button. And I was just walked in the door. I thought I was going to have plenty of time to set up the stream when I got here, but I did not have plenty of time to set up the stream. So we're now 9 minutes late. Anywho, Zena's here. If you want to do a little donation, we will give Zena and Ava, who missed me very much while I was away, a dog treat. We're just going to play a few little videos, go through some news stories that I saw, and wrap it up within probably an hour from now. So first thing, apparently they have footage of the Ocean Gate wreckage. I haven't watched it yet. I saw it when I was out with some friends yesterday, and I decided to throw it into my Discord so I can play it for you guys today. Let's see what it looks like down there. I imagine. Okay, so I haven't seen it yet. If I had to guess, I'm thinking it's like crushed in. Like I'm thinking the pressure crushed it in. I guess we're about to find out.
Extensively last June when it first happened. Take a look at this. The Titan's submersible implosion. That's the story. Well, the first footage of the wreckage has been revealed as new evidence emerges during this U.S. Coast Guard Marine Board hearing. Take a look at that. This is brand new. This is surfaced during this hearing this week there, I believe, in Charleston, South Carolina. Now, the video shows the catastrophic implosion of the 22-foot submersible in June of last year,
not crushed in,
resulting in the loss of all 5 people aboard. Now, for more on the hearing and the images we're seeing of the sub, the Titan sub there, we're going to be joined by our longtime friend, maritime expert, Sal Mercogliano, and he joins me. Sal, good to see you here. We had to get you on. We had to do a follow-up on this because we're seeing these images for the very first time. What answers are you hoping to get from this investigation? Did you know that this Coast Guard Marine Board hearing was happening this week? It kind of, from my vantage point, it kind of snuck up on us.
Yeah, it was kind of low-key. They were not announcing it very large, but it was going to be a 2-week hearing where they're really bringing in Ocean Gate employees and a lot of personnel to kind of get the backstory to find out how this event actually unfolded. So what we've heard so far in the first couple of days here is some of the engineers, some of the workers who have been on the project. And what you're seeing on here right now, this imagery, is part of the submersible. It's actually the back part of the submersible. This is a part that wasn't within the pressure vessel. So that's why you see it in an entirely kind of one piece here. It actually would have come off the back end.
All right. So, you know, I wanted to ask, too, because this was captured just 4 days after the submersible imploded. Why do you think it took us so long to see some of this footage here?
That's interesting. They found it 4 days after. Weren't they missing for like weeks? Am I misremembering the story? Or am I misunderstanding what they're saying? This footage was taken 4 days after, I guess maybe after they figured they were missing. I don't know. For whatever reason, I might be misremembering what happened in this case. But from what I remember, like they were supposed to come back, didn't come back, and then nobody could get in touch with them. And I thought it was like weeks that they were missing. It felt like forever, right? But if this footage was taken 4 days after, then why were we all on land worried about them? What else was going on in the world at that time that they were distracting us from is my question.
Why do we need a hearing for this to reveal itself, so to speak? And to your point, Sal, you and I had discussed at the time that a large chunk of this submersible was completely pulverized by the pressure. So I think viewers might be surprised that they are seeing that large chunk intact there.
Yeah, one of the things we got from the hearing so far was some pretty graphic discussions of what happened within the sphere.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, this is a very unique type of submersible. This is not a solid titanium sphere. It's actually two ends of titanium spheres with a carbon fiber module in between it. And what basically they believe happened is one end of this sphere basically detached or allowed water to come in, and those sections basically imploded together in a time frame that even the people on board would not have been able to process themselves. It was almost instantaneous. But what we're getting now is a TikTok of the events leading up to the event. But most importantly, we're hearing from people like the engineer.
Getting her information from a TikTok, apparently. Great. This is it's so over.
Right there, who's really talking about his problems he had with how OceanGate was operating. And what we're hearing here is like consistent problems with this vessel. And what's amazing is there was no one to appeal this to, because this was an unclassified vessel. And I think that's what the Coast Guard really wants to find out about, is whether or not there should have been some sort of oversight, including their own, of this event.
Sal, I wanted to bring up, too, you mentioned some of the communications that were revealed between those on the sub, on the ocean floor, and those above in the vessel, tracking and monitoring their movements here. One of the last messages that was read was this: we're all good here. Do you have any idea how much the crew knew before the sub imploded? Has that been revealed in this hearing?
Yeah, listening to some of the people involved, like the dropping of weights, that was standard. When you bring a submersible down to the bottom, you don't have tanks on a submarine to flood. You use basically weights. In this case, they were using steel pipes, and they would create negative buoyancy. In other words, they free fall down to the bottom. And as they get closer to the bottom, they shed weight to create what's called neutral buoyancy. That allows them to maneuver at depth without coming up or down.
It's the exact same way scuba diving works. When you're scuba diving, I don't know if anybody of you out there have been scuba diving, but you do the same thing with the vest can fill or let air out to create neutral buoyancy. So I guess the submarine works the same way.
And based on the communications, everything was operating normally. There did not seem to be any major issues. There was no indication at all that there was an accident. And based on the reports of everyone so far, and again, we've only had a couple of days of the hearing, is the events that unfolded were nearly instantaneous. That it was, they did not know what was going to happen. The problem is that there were indicators long before this that there should have been more concern, including the owner, CEO, who was piloting this vessel. There was a very graphic description of him piloting a sister ship of this, the first version of this vessel, and nearly colliding with another underwater shipwreck. This is the Andrea Doria.
Yeah, Sal, I wanted to ask too, what's the purpose of the investigation? Is it just to reveal more information to shine sunlight on this? It's the best disinfectant, of course. Or is any accountability going to come from this hearing for those involved here? We know a lot of civil lawsuits are ongoing from some of the victims' family members toward OceanGate and the company here. But what should be taken away from once the hearing is all said and done?
Well, the hearing will be gathering evidence, and that's what these type of processes does. And because this craft was built in the United States up in Everett, Washington, it falls under the Coast Guard here. And really, I think one of the things we're trying to do is figure out how these vessels should be categorized. One of the very interesting conversations in the hearing so far was from engineers who sat there and said, everyone in the past have built submersibles and tested them. There was a rigorous procedure for that. It was not followed in this case. Matter of fact, the very first tests were human tests. And that's almost never done in submersibles. Wow. So I think one of the things we're going to see come out of this is not just evidence, but maybe the Coast Guard putting in place some rules and regulations over submersibles. Let's not forget, it's one of the safest modes of transportation in the ocean. Really hadn't seen any loss of life in the 60 years use of submersibles until this event.
Sal, just lastly, it's been now more than a year since this all transpired, and really the world was fixated on this story for so long. Since that time, and you and I at the time had mentioned, this is going to be a watershed moment for this industry, kind of a wake-up call. Since that time, have you seen progress or not?
I think this is one of the very first steps that we're seeing. I think this hearing is bringing the light to it, and more importantly, getting these accounts on record and creating a process whereby if there are issues in other submersibles in the future, that there is a process whereby people can go. The problem is everyone's echoing the same account that this was a problem, but there was nowhere to go beyond the CEO Stockton Rush.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. How did they not have any oversight at all? Like this whole industry had zero oversight at all. That's crazy to me. There's oversight in everything these days.
But the buck stopped with him. There was no Coast Guard. There was no oversight agency they can really go to. And again, this is an extremely safe process. Almost every submersible is rigorously tested. This submersible was not rigorously tested. It was left outside over the winter time and then brought back in. And it used a fairly new technology of carbon fiber to be able to be launched. So I think what we hope to see here is really prevent maybe the hubris of someone who wants to challenge the environment and not taking, paying passengers with them into a dangerous environment as they did.
Sal, just lastly, though, I mean, we haven't seen any copycats or would-be adventurers trying to recreate this successfully, have we, or no?
No, I mean, we've seen dives on the Titanic, but they were done by submersibles that have been well tested. Again, we talked about this at the time, Andrew. Sometimes you try and push the boundary of technology. Yeah. And I'm not one who's going to write off the type of technology that was in this submersible. The issue here was the proper testing and provisions that were put in place to ensure that this mode of transportation would be safe in the long time. And that was the issue. It was just not really rigorously training. We get in our car every day, drive 55 miles an hour, and first time we test the brakes is when we come to a red light. But
that's funny. He thinks I drive 55 miles an hour. You don't want to know how fast I was going on the way home from Florida just now, but I guarantee it was more than 55.
It's because we have tested that procedure over and over and over again.
All right, Sal Mercogliano, we're going to have to leave it at that. Sal, always appreciate your time. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me, Andrew.
Interesting. So zero oversight, apparently, on the submersible industry. I see a couple more people strolling in. Sorry, I did not create the stream before 2 minutes before I went live late. So we may get some stragglers, but I wanted to let you guys know as you're getting here, I'm going live again for a real episode at 7:30 p.m. with Cowboy Criminology. And we're going to be talking about Karen Reed, which I didn't know a lot about until today because I kind of looked into it while I was driving home. But this is a stream on his channel, so he picked the time, but it will be broadcast on both my channel and his channel. 7:30. So come back at 7:30 is what I'm saying. All right. The next one we have is Midwest Safety, and they would never forget this chase. I have not watched this chase yet, but I guess we will see what happens here. Apparently somebody rented a truck for $19.95.
A chase no officer would ever forget. In the evening of February 7th, 2024, officers from the Tontitown Police Department in Arkansas received a distress call from multiple other law enforcement agencies. According to news sources, the police were in pursuit of a stolen U-Haul van, one that allegedly traveled at speeds in excess of 120 miles an hour. Officers didn't know it at the time, but the occupants are in possession of multiple firearms and Molotov cocktails. Multiple agencies responded, including the Arkansas State Police, who are known to have a very aggressive pursuit and pit policy.
Let me know in the chat how you guys feel about pit maneuvers. I know some people are totally against them because it puts people's lives at risk. I think letting a chase like this go on without stopping them puts lives at risk. And I think letting criminals get away is not a great idea. But let me know what you think, if pit maneuvers should be used or not. I guess there's a lot of discussion about it these days. Okay. I'm going to stop it right here. I don't think right there a pit maneuver should have been done. Look at all this traffic over here. They need to wait till there's not other people around to do a pit maneuver.
Go ahead.
We're up Barrington, he's still eastbound. He's on. 412. Eastbound 412.
Speaking of cowboy criminology, I was just talking about you. He's here. We're going to be streaming tonight at 7:30. So everybody who's here, I know there's not a lot of people here because I didn't schedule the stream ahead of time, but come back at 7:30. There's going to be a real episode, I promise. Not that this isn't a real episode, but cowboy criminology says pit maneuvers require a lot of discretion, and the officer needs to make sure they are not causing a hazard to others, but they are very effective. Yes, they are definitely effective. There is a time and a place for them, for sure. I don't think they should be doing it with all these. Look at all the traffic that's there, and they're trying to do a pit maneuver. It's crazy. This is crazy to me.
TDI, do not rush the vehicle. TDI, do not rush the vehicle.
Confirming a pit at South and Industrial.
Oh my gosh.
This would be me if I was in the vicinity of this. I would have my phone out flipping on the live stream and like doing commentary over it. We were talking about that this weekend. I was out of state this weekend with some friends who also create content. You may have seen me in Let's Be Frank's studio on Thursday. That was cool to see. But there was other content creators there too. And we were talking about if it's appropriate to whip out your camera when you see stuff going on. And I say absolutely, absolutely every time.
Dude. Oh my. Oh my. Dude, let's go see.
On 14, always next to you. Back on 412.
Bro, what did I just witness?
Take it out.
14, the lead.
Oh, there he goes, there he goes. Dude!
Eastbound for Barrington, primary.
Ginger, do I know? Good.
I think the guy with the bumper off the car needs to stop and regroup, or either rip it off and leave it on the side of the road, or just bow out of this one. Let somebody else take over. Seriously.
now. No, not yet.
At the initial point of contact for this officer's TIV attempt, commonly referred to as a pit maneuver, the officer's speed tracker indicated he is traveling 101 miles an hour. For comparison, many agencies consider pits above 45 miles per hour to constitute lethal force, as you'll soon discover.
Wow.
Tragically, the officer's push bumper gets hooked on the U-Haul,
Oh,
resulting in
no.
complete loss of control of the squad.
A 101 miles an hour. 101 miles an hour. Holy cow. Why? What were they thinking?
Got
Skittles. Start at 1016, Tommy Town, direct out, roll over.
Oh my goodness. Are you guys seeing this? The airbags have gone off in the U-Haul. There's like 8 wrecked cruisers at this point. One really wrecked, flipped over. I hope that guy's okay. This is like at this point, this pit maneuver should have never been done, in my opinion.
Hey, don't rush it! Don't rush it! Cross line! Hey, kill your car! Kill your car! Kill your car! Do not rush the car!
Get him out that way. Get the passenger out.
I'm good. I'm good.
All right, buddy?
I'm good.
Okay, come on.
I'm good.
You all right?
I'm good.
Get the passenger out.
Hey, shut up! Passenger!
Get out. Get out. Grab him. Kill you, mother. Get out. Get out of the car.
Hey, K9, get out of the car!
Get out of the car.
Hey, watch out! Get out! Hey, get out!
Show me your hands. Keep your hands up.
I was muted. I was just saying that all of these officers have way too much adrenaline in their system right now and are not cool, in my opinion. I'm just saying. But since I spoke while I was muted, that means Xena gets a milk bone. So thanks for letting me know, Society Red.
Watch out! Watch out! Get out of the car! Get out of the car!
Hey, pull that airbag. Pull that airbag. Yeah.
He's going out the back! He's going out the back! He's going out the back!
They got it. They got it.
Don't even have him, dude! This is so ridiculous!
Let's go.
Here, dog!
Is your car worked out also?
We all have them. We got both suspects 10-15.
According to news reports, the pursuit began in Locust Grove, Oklahoma, and ended roughly 60 miles away in Springdale, Arkansas. 4 patrol vehicles were taken out of commission due to the damages incurred. The suspects allegedly face charges for aggravated.
These two look like criminals, is all I'm saying. Look at those faces. Look at them.
Assault, criminal conspiracy, possession of destructive devices, fleeing, battery, criminal mischief, and resisting arrest. According to news reports, these suspects are also wanted for attempting to run over police officers located over 700 miles away in Michigan. We found out about this incident thanks to safetyvid.org, which caught the crash on this Arkansas DOT camera. To get footage of your freeway crash caught on a traffic camera, Go to safetyvid.org and download your video today.
Interesting. So what do you guys think of that chase? That was crazy. That was nuts. All right, next story. Cruise passengers. I had to pull this story because, I like vacation. So I like going on cruises. Although I haven't been on one in a long time. But I did see this story. A Royal Caribbean cruise passenger is suing after suing a Florida sheriff's office, claiming she was humiliated after being wrongfully arrested and detained for 3 days over a mistaken identity. Jennifer Heath Box, age 50, filed a civil rights lawsuit against the Broward County Sheriff's Office Thursday, September 19th, claiming she was degraded by the ordeal nearly 2 years prior. I have nothing but anger and frustration to feel completely broken when you're arrested because you're humiliated, you're degraded. Heath Box, that's I guess her middle and last name, said during a press conference. So it breaks you. Heath Box was a passenger on the Harmony of the Seas, which made many stops in the Bahamas, Jamaica, and Haiti as part of a family trip celebrating her brother, a Georgia police officer who had just completed his cancer treatment and returned to port in Fort Lauderdale on December 24th, 2022. The plaintiff said she had 2 hours between their arrival and her flight back to Houston, Texas, where she planned to spend Christmas with her oldest son, who was scheduled to leave for a 3-year deployment to Japan with the Marines. But her ID triggered an alert at the gate as she disembarked the ship. It automatically came up with a warning, Heathbach said. At that point, security surrounded me along with the police and asked me if I was Jennifer Heath and asked me to remove my jewelry. I said, "What am I being arrested for?" She said, "That's whatever they said, child endangerment. They escorted me off the ship in front of everyone." Police mistakenly matched Heath Box with Jennifer Del Carmen Heath. So similar name, not the same. So Jennifer Del Carmen Heath was wanted in a felony case involving a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old out of Harris County, Texas. Harris County is where Houston is. The wanted suspect was 23 years younger than Heath Box, 5 inches shorter, and had a different skin tone, hair color, and eyes, which the plaintiff acknowledged, despite her photo being attached to the arrest warrant by the arresting officers. Okay, so this woman is obviously a totally different woman. Shorter, different race, apparently, eye color, but the fact that the photo of the wanted suspect was attached to the warrant and they still arrested her. That's nuts. I would be suing too. That's crazy. She came out and Perza was acquitted of manslaughter charges in 2013 in a shooting death. Oh, I'm sorry. I missed a whole paragraph. I got excited and skipped ahead. Okay, so despite her photo being attached to the warrant by arresting officer Peta Perzana. Perzana was acquitted of manslaughter charges in 2013, shooting death of a man with an air rifle. At which point he resigned to the sheriff. Sorry. I cannot read today. My eyes are crossed from driving the last 7 hours. My bad. Let me take a break from reading and say thank you to Erica for the membership renewal. Thank you, Erica. There you go. Erica says that she's honored to be my friend. I'm honored you are my friend, I should say. Thank you for the membership renewal. All right, let me try to read some more. This is embarrassing. Where was I? Heath Box was humiliated upon arrival at the Broward County Jail, at which point she claims she was stripped and cavity searched despite a detention deputy running her driver's license and finding nothing in the system. She came out and handed the driver's license to Peter, and she said, "We ran her driver's license, and we don't have anything in the system for her." Heathbach said via the New York Post. Peter came back and said, "No, it's her. Let me show you. I can prove to you it's her. I will show you the picture again." Again, that's all he was focused on. Heathbach said she was kept in jail for 3 days, which included deputies blasting her cell with death metal and freezing air, as she wore a thin uniform, claiming she slept back to back with her cellmate to keep warm. The 50-year-old was released when Broward County learned of Harris County's mistake. However, she never received an apology and was only told that stuff happens. That's a crazy story. Can you imagine just coming back from a beautiful cruise to where they say they went, the Bahamas, Jamaica, somewhere else? And then they use death metal music to torture prisoners, like in wartime. Like they use that as torture. Like, what are we doing in Broward County? I wish there was a picture of her here. There's not. I mean, wow. That's all I have to say about that one is wow. Holy cow. A tiny Kentucky town is rocked as their sheriff is jailed for killing a prominent judge. By the way, I haven't looked into any of these because I got home from vacation and turned around and just pulled tabs blindly from the Discord. So you guys sent me this stuff. So if any of these stories are not good, it's your fault. You blame yourself. Look in the mirror. Oh, good. Another one I need to read. Perfect. Whitesburg, Kentucky. Sounds like a nice town. Whitesburg, Kentucky. Residents in a tiny Appalachian town struggled Friday to cope with a shooting involving two of its most prominent citizens. A judge who was gunned down in his courthouse chambers and a local sheriff charged with his murder. Holy cannoli. This is a good one. Whoever sent me this is good, even though I have to read it. Good stuff. It's just so sad. I just hate it, said Mike Watts, the Letcher County Circuit Court clerk. Both of them are friends of mine. I've worked with both of them for years. It wasn't clear what led to the shooting. The preliminary investigation indicates Letcher County Sheriff Mikey Steins shot District Judge Kevin Mullins multiple times following an argument inside the courthouse, according to Kentucky State Police. Mullins, age 54, who had held the judgeship for 15 years, died on scene. And Stein, age 43, surrendered without incident. He was charged with one count of first-degree murder. The fatal shooting stunned the tight-knit town of Whitesburg, the county seat, with a population of 1,700 people. It's 145 miles southeast of Lexington, Kentucky. Steins was deposed on Monday in a lawsuit filed by two women, one of whom alleged that a deputy forced her to have sex inside Mullins' chambers for 6 months in exchange for staying out of jail. The lawsuit accuses the sheriff of deliberate indifference in failing to adequately train and supervise the deputies. That's one we need to look further into, I think. That's crazy. Where do you find these stories, Erica? Thanks for sending that one. That was interesting. Good stuff. Oh, is this? Oh, okay. Here's a video about it. I think this is the same story. You must have sent this as well. The sheriff turned himself in.
That's correct. He was arrested on scene without incident shortly after officials arrived.
Do you hear how low this guy's voice is? That's crazy.
Correct. He was arrested on scene without incident shortly after officials arrived.
It was the news that sent shockwaves through this small town. An eastern Kentucky judge shot and killed inside his own chambers. Kentucky State Police saying the local sheriff pulled the trigger and now sitting behind bars charged with his murder. It is our top story here at noon. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Brooke Hash. The Letcher County Courthouse is closed this afternoon as investigators still try to get to the bottom of what happened in the shooting. Police said the motive is unclear, but they are calling it an isolated incident. Rhiannon Alley has more from eastern Kentucky.
The shots rang out just before 3 p.m.
Letcher County Courthouse, that shot's fired.
Police say the sheriff of rural Letcher County, Kentucky, shot District Judge Kevin Mullins after an argument.
I know where that is. We zoom out the map a little bit. Because this is Tennessee, right? This is the very tip of Tennessee right here. I spend a lot of time in these mountains. I spend a whole lot of time in these mountains right here.
Kevin Mullins, after an argument inside the county courthouse.
Emergency services responded to the area and located District Judge Kevin Mullins with several gunshot wounds.
Attempts to save the 54-year-old judge were unsuccessful. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
We know that it was an argument between the two that led up, but what exactly transpired prior to the shots being fired, still things that we're trying to get answers to.
Police say the 43-year-old sheriff, Sean Steins, was taken into custody without incident.
This community is small in nature, and we're all shook.
It's the third high-profile murder of a judge in the last 2 years. Last October, a Maryland man shot and killed a judge shortly after the judge ruled against him in a divorce case. Back in June of 2022, a former Wisconsin judge was killed in what authorities called a targeted attack. And in 2020, the son of a U.S. district judge in New Jersey was killed by a gunman who was targeting the judge at her home. The U.S. Marshals Service says serious threats to federal judges have more than doubled in the last 3 years, part of what officials say is a growing wave of politically driven violence. As for the suspect in Kentucky, he is charged with first-degree murder. Kentucky's governor saying there is far too much violence in this world, and I pray there is a path to a better tomorrow. Rhiannon Alley, ABC News, New York.
Investigators said the sheriff is cooperating and being held at the Leslie County Detention Center. We'll have continuing coverage on this story.
That was an interesting story. All right, I have one more body cam video that somebody sent me, and then we're going to wrap it up. But we will be back here at 7:30 to stream with Cowboy Criminology. He was just in the chat. Make sure you come back for that. And if you're not already subscribed to Cowboy Criminology, what are you doing? What are we doing here? What are you doing with your life? Go subscribe to him. We're going to be live on both of our channels at 7:30. But I did want to go live at 4:30, 4:36. Come here, Ava. Get in your spot. Because I try to do that every Sunday for you guys and just have a little something for you. But let's watch this last one. This is also from Midwest Safety. So let's see what happened. It says, for this officer, everything changed in an instant.
Hard that kicked off both of his boots. God, I'm going to hate looking at this dash cam.
It seemed like a routine call, but it would all change in an instant. This state trooper had just returned to work after an injury on the job and truly loved his job when this happened. In the morning on February 13th, 2023, an officer from the Ohio State Patrol noticed some debris while driving on the highway. The officer soon pulls over and begins reversing in the breakdown lane just after passing the hazard. This appears to be a typical day for this officer, as you can hear him whistle while he works. However, shortly after he exits his vehicle, his typical day would turn into a horrific accident. Moments after the officer exits his vehicle and walks in front of his cruiser, a passenger vehicle slams into the back of his cruiser.
Oh no!
The cruiser is quickly launched forward and immediately slams into the back of the officer. The broken glass seen here is the result of the officer slamming into the windshield before he is flung over his own cruiser. At this point, his own body camera flies off his person and turns on only after it hits the ground. Outside of his camera, his boots, gun, clip, and other accessories scatter the area of the impact. The cruiser violently spins around over 360 degrees after the officer is hit. The video then abruptly comes to an end. Shortly after the incident, a pedestrian that witnessed the accident on the opposite side of the highway slams on his brakes and pulls into the median.
I would have done the same thing. If I saw that happen in front of me, I totally would have stopped and tried to help. Oh my gosh. Holy cannoli.
Assist the officer. Here is what he had to say about the situation.
Could you hear me on the radio at all?
We're all on different channels, so I don't know. On your radio here?
No, on his.
On his?
I saw it. I saw the whole thing.
Yeah,
and I got on the radio and started calling for help, and then nobody responded to me. So I finally just hit his button, and then got on the phone and called in. When she slammed into him, I immediately just slammed on my brakes and slammed into the median. I was close enough. I saw him. I mean, and I could see what was that he had gotten out. It hadn't even stopped yet when I slammed into the ditch. His cruiser was still going.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it was like an explosion, man. As soon as she hit him, it was just like an explosion. And I got out, of course, checked it was safe to go across, but and then when I got to
I'm so glad I didn't watch this ahead of time because I'd been freaking out. I just drove 7.5 hours from the middle of Florida back to my home base. And so for all day today, I've been on roads that look just like this, just, 2 lanes each direction. And I would have been freaking out. I would have been worried. I wonder if she fell asleep or if there was some sort of medical emergency. Something had to happen. Maybe she was drunk. It looks like it's the middle of the afternoon though. So I don't know if drunk. I'm not sure.
Nobody stopped it. Everybody just kept going. So I just talked to him and told him I loved him. I told him that, everything was going to be okay. And I had him and I got him. I got you. And everybody just moved over to the left, kept right on cruising along. Yeah.
The audio from the officer's body camera seems to corroborate the witness's story.
30 years I did this job and never had to do something, never witnessed something like that.
I appreciate it. Having someone see it, say they saw everything off the side of the road means a lot. It helps us a lot. And having someone, have the wherewithal to just grab his radio and try to get out and stuff means a lot. But I appreciate you. All right?
Yep. All right. It's just hard, man.
Yeah, I know.
To see a brother laying there like that, bad shape as he was.
By the way, Zena's staring into all of your souls right now, in case you're wondering what's happening. She's staring into your souls.
Glad it was a brother that stopped.
The officer involved in the accident is no stranger to serious crashes. In fact, according to officers speaking of the situation from this body cam footage, the officer had just returned after over a year of being on leave for being a part of another accident.
Somebody said he just came back from work
2 weeks ago. He's been off for over a year. So Adrian got hit by a head-on driver on 23 down by the casino.
And that's what set him off for a year?
Ago, yeah.
During that incident, the officer's cruiser was struck by a drunk driver.
Well, West Jet.
Just got hit by a 7100. Send me a squad. 31A.
The drunk driver continued to hit vehicles afterwards, causing their own car to catch on fire. According to reports, it would only be a few weeks after this officer's return to the force that he would find himself in another horrendous accident caused by a supposedly intoxicated woman. Soon, police officers interview other witnesses who share their perspective of the driver before the crash.
This guy came, or whoever was in the...
I thought she was going to rear end me. I looked in the mirror and saw her coming behind me, and it's like, holy shit. I floored it and got around the semi that was beside me and got over real quick, and she was gone. Then she got behind me again somehow. I don't know how she managed that. Saw her coming back up through the traffic, just left to right, in between cars and trucks. I almost called 911 when she passed me to report it. I've done that before. I drive pretty much every day for sales and see this too often. She was on the rumble strips at some point, and then she was passing the center line. She was just back and forth. Because I looked over when she passed me, and she's all tattooed up and nose ring, everything else.
That's your first sign. The nose ring. The septum piercing is a dead giveaway.
That's just like red blocks. That was, I don't know how.
And how far away was that?
10, 15 miles back.
We've got a witness in that white F-150 saying they passed her like 10 minutes ago going like 100, driving like a maniac.
A witness that said she passed her on the shoulder. Yeah. So I'm assuming she was probably trying to pass somebody else on the shoulder when she probably just came around and smoked them.
That white SUV all the way back is the scene though, because part of some of his uniform is scattered all throughout here from when he got hit.
Officers attempt to open the trunk of the cruiser to ensure the officer's possessions are all found. You can see bits of broken glass falling onto the ground as they pry it open. As the officers on scene investigate the damaged vehicles, they periodically receive information about the injured officer and the impaired driver, as both individuals were immediately sent to a local hospital.
I heard that he's got like some broken bones in his leg and some superficial cuts to his face. Do you know his status at all?
He's not good. He's not good. He's critical.
Okay.
So they took him to Grant and took the other lady who hit him to Grant. So just so you know, there's a shoe there. I don't know if anybody picked that up, and there's one on the other side too, and I think that was his.
Hey, here's his body cam. His body cam.
Holy crap, still recording. Tire went right into the back seat. Luckily there was nobody in there. Just completely busted through the molded seat.
I'm gonna see if his cell phone's out here.
Oh, is that?
Yeah, I just tried calling it. We were gonna grab it out of the car, but couldn't hear it.
It looks like an impaired driver.
Okay.
It's at fault.
What's in the car right now? There's needles.
Bunch of paraphernalia. You saw it, right?
She was on drugs. I don't know why I was giving this woman the benefit of the doubt that she fell asleep or had a medical emergency. Why was I giving her the benefit of the doubt? She was on drugs. That was she nodded out is what happened.
One of the deputies said there's a loaded syringe.
Well, I have it paused, actually. Thank you so much, Parson. Got to get back to it. Thank you so much, Parson, for the super chat. And yes, we will give the dogs another treat. I'm giving them extra treats today because I've been gone since Thursday and I haven't given them any treats at all. And I miss them very much. By the way, my friend Frank has the exact same set of dogs that I do. They look the same as each other, and one's kind of bigger and snuggly, and the other one's kind of smaller and a psycho. Exact same set of dogs, except in the dark brown variety, and I have the light brown variety. It was so weird when I walked into his house and we had matching dogs. And by the way, Frank and his wife Sharon were at my house in July and didn't mention the fact that they had matching dogs. Didn't even mention it. It was the first thing I noticed. Thank you very much, Person.
On the seat or in the vehicle somewhere.
All right, there's a loaded syringe in the vehicle.
Unfortunately, during the search of the suspect's vehicle, this officer wore his high-vis jacket over the body camera. We will have to take his word when he mentions what he finds.
There's so much paraphernalia and stuff in that car. She's probably most likely going to be .19.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine after seeing a fellow officer get run down on the side of the road, you're apt to put your high-vis jacket on when doing the investigation on the side of the road, more so than any other day.
I haven't dug too far in there, but there's a little baggie. Looks like it's probably fentanyl.
28 years old, 29.
They said the trooper was alert and talking.
Yes, they said he was actually out of trauma already.
Wow.
Oh, really?
Alert and conscious, doesn't know what happened. Lots of superficial head injuries with lots of blood. Appears to be moving all extremities.
Thank God he's going to be all right.
Yeah. A lot worse.
He talked to her. She admitted to, Suboxone, gabapentin, just some other drugs, but says she's been sober for 10 days. Yeah. Okay. So, anyways. Okay.
I don't think she's been sober for 10 days. I'm pretty sure if she's got Suboxone in the car, she hasn't been sober for 10 days.
Rental car. We got a recording from OnStar of that female calling something messed up, saying that she just hit a cop. So we're gonna send that to whoever's email.
So we've got an OnStar call. They've got an OnStar call of the at fault saying she thinks she just hit a cop.
After she hit it?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Wow.
You just said
that's crazy.
If we got a prosecutable case, which it sure sounds like we do, we're going to prosecute her.
All right.
So
sounds good.
Both the driver and the officer sustained injuries, but were able to make recoveries. According to reports, the driver at fault for the crash was charged with aggravated vehicular assault, possession of a fentanyl-related compound, possession of cocaine, an additional charge for vehicular assault and...
Okay. I'd just like to say, as somebody who has been on drugs before, when you're sober for 10 days, you don't have all of this stuff still on you. The first thing you do when you make the decision that you're going to get sober is you get rid of everything and you get yourself as far away from being able to get those things as possible. So her saying she's been sober for 10 days is ridiculous. She's got fentanyl. She's got cocaine. They said she had Suboxone. So yeah, maybe she went to the clinic and got some Suboxone, but she did not get clean. She just added on top of all the drugs that she was already on. She just added Suboxone on top of that.
Operating a vehicle while under the influence. Initially, the suspect pled not guilty to all charges, but eventually pled guilty when a plea deal was presented. She pled guilty to aggravated vehicular assault and possession of a fentanyl-related compound. All other charges were dropped. For this, she was sentenced to 6 years in prison with 2 years of post-release control.
This takes years off your life as a commander.
I might have to forego the gym today and go tomorrow. You got a coat?
What's that?
You got a coat?
I do. It's warm out though. You need a coat? All CJ?
Cold as hell.
Yeah.
See, if you were fatter like me, you'd have some meat on your bones.
Look at how did you see how the feel of the scene changed almost immediately when they found out that he was okay, that he was up and talking and already out of the trauma, whatever was happening at the hospital. As soon as they found out that their coworker was all right, their mood changed, which is great. So anyway, that's the show for today. I know it's a super short one, but I will be back. I literally walked in the door, and before I even said hi to my husband, who I haven't seen since Thursday, actually Wednesday night, because I didn't see him Thursday morning before I left. I said, I got to get the show ready. We got to do the show. So I'm going to go spend a couple hours with my husband and the doggos, and I will be back at 7:30 along with Cowboy Criminology. Go subscribe to his channel. Erica, while the outro is playing, if you could throw his channel in there again. We need to get his, we need to get his sub count up, right? We need to get him over 1,000 so that way he can monetize, because he puts a lot of work into his videos and he deserves to be monetized for it. So we need to get him some ad revenue over there. Everybody subscribe. I appreciate it. He will appreciate it. And we will see you all back here at 7:30 Eastern time. That's 6:30 Central for people in the Central time zone. I was going to say have a good rest of your weekend, but have a good next couple of hours. See you soon. Bye, guys. Thanks for coming.
First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man, Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Won't you solo go show off your photos, throw out your Twinkies, throw up your ho-hos, tuck in them pinkies, them shits a no-no. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Brought to my attention by the man with the mojo. My 8th subscriber, I'm a fagoso. Jump in them sinkies and dump them mimosos. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto.
Looking for new thrills, needing a new track of land. I used to dig the Simpsons, man. Bumping Biggie, Pop, Smash Mouth, and Simple Plan. No scrubs for the crease in my pimples, damn. From the southeast Michigan. Hitting shuffle till I settled on a different jam. And when a dime won't do, a better nickel can. And let me tell you, when I used to dig them Simpsons, man. A funny thing about time, you can't get it back. A tight grip, but it rips the jacket. Slight lisp with a mix of traffic. You see about me, like Mr. Glass, always wished I was a whiz at graphics. Take me back to the past where the hits were massive. You could hear Gladys Knight and the Pips on plastic, misfit molasses. Delete my contacts just so I can stick to glasses. Feel that skipped out, so I miss the classics. Aristotle of the bottle, Seneca of the sinful action, senator of the simple maxim. I swear for a skillful Saxon, I'm still relaxing. Who wanna take a dip in the mind sauce, making up for the time lost, forgetting all my passwords when I sign off. Prime bribe, prime rib, Agent Smith, prime boss, popping red pills till my mind's off, mind's off.
First Florida man. Endo de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Won't you so loco? Show off your photos, throw out your Twinkies, throw up your ho-hos, tuck in them pinkies. Them shits a no-no. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Brought to my attention by the man with the mojo. My 8th subscriber, I'm a bagoso. Jump in them sinkies and dump them mimosos. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto.
Threw up that blue pill, moved to a new track. I slew the foothills of that voodoo sap. Microfiche tape decks, I'll sift through that, cause I'll do anything to get the old Simpsons back. Give me the news that make my mood react. I'll swim through the sewer just to make it to the truth intact. And you can shine up that voodoo with new shellac. I'll still do anything to get the old Simpsons back. Imagine thinking Karl Marx is new school Klingon like Huzu. They welcome the ways they can bring on the boots, dude. Declare a major, they get paid to pollute you. Self-ashamed neighbors never gaze when they scoop you. I wonder how we fight it. The 6th step is never enter in my tent uninvited. The 5th step is produce, no skills is no use. 4th step community preference is unity. 3rd step is nation, it's somewhat location, mostly relations, that's the situation. Next step family, patriarchal sanity. Safe under the canopy, ain't a place for anarchy. 1st step I just got to say it, no showboat. Step back and soak up the logos.
First Florida man. Endo de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Won't you so loco? Show off your photos, throw out them Twinkies, throw up your ho-hos, tuck in them pinkies. Them shits a no-no. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Brought to my attention by the man with the mojo. My 8th subscriber, I'm a bagoso. Jump in them sinkies and dump them mimosos. The first Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Hernando de Soto. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. Brought to my attention by the man with the mojo. My 8th subscriber, I'm a bagoso. First Florida man was Hernando de Soto. First Florida man